So today, we're going to try and make sense of the severe hunger crisis that's unfolding in Gaza. We'll look at the human cost, what's actually stopping the aid from getting in, and the century of history that's led us to this exact moment. But first, let's just start with the words of someone who is living through it right now.
We are not living, we are dying slowly. Those are the words of Naja El-Nar, a mother in Gaza. And that statement, it just cuts right through all the politics, all the numbers, and gets to the heart of what's happening. For so many people, this isn't about living anymore. It's about a slow, painful reality that we really need to try and understand on a human level.
And that reality, well, it has a number. According to health authorities, since October 2023, at least 38 people have died from malnutrition. And here's the part that's just absolutely devastating. All but one of them were children. It's a brutal reminder of who is paying the highest price in this crisis.
Now, that horrifying toll, especially on children, is exactly why international organizations aren't just calling this a tragedy. They're using a very specific term, a man-made famine. So to really understand what that means, we have to look at what's happening on the ground.
It's so easy to get lost in the numbers, but behind every single one, there's a face, a story. Take 5-month-old Abdul Aziz. A Palestinian reporter filmed his story, showing him dying after his heart just stopped on June 30th. For kids like him and 2-year-old Khaled, the war isn't some distant explosion, it's an empty stomach.
So let's talk about that term, man-made famine. It's what the World Health Organization and UN experts are using, and it's a crucial distinction. They're arguing this is not a natural disaster. It's not some unavoidable consequence of war. They say it's the direct result of what they call a deliberate decision to block humanitarian aid from getting to people who desperately need it.
Okay, so if the experts are calling this a deliberate blockage, what does that actually look like on the ground? Why isn't food reaching people? Well, that question takes us right into the heart of the aid stalemate.
And this is where things get really confusing, because you're hearing two completely different stories. On one side, you have Israeli officials saying flat out, there is no starvation in Gaza. They blame any problems on Hamas or the UN's distribution. But then on the other side, you have aid agencies saying a famine is absolutely unfolding, with one official describing people as walking corpses. And they point the finger directly at Israeli restrictions as the main reason why.
So what are these obstacles aid workers are talking about? Well, it's not just one thing. It's like a whole series of roadblocks. First, you've got administrative hurdles and really long waits just to get across the border. Then there's an inspection bottleneck. Not enough officials to check the goods, so food literally rots in the sun. And once inside Gaza, aid convoys have been attacked, roads are destroyed, it's nearly impossible to get anything anywhere. Someone described it like a spigot that's constantly being turned on and off, never letting enough aid through to even begin to meet the need.
And this isn't just a disagreement between Israel and the UN. It's actually causing major rifts inside allied governments too. Stacey Gilbert, a senior official at the US State Department, actually resigned over this. She said that the official US government position that Israel is not blocking aid is, in her words, patently, demonstrably false. She's basically arguing that the administration is choosing to ignore the facts on the ground.
To really get why this is all happening now, you have to zoom way, way out. Because this crisis, this aid stalemate, it didn't just appear out of nowhere in October 2023. It's really built on a foundation of a century of conflict.
And something that the sources we've looked at make very, very clear is this point. While the attacks on October 7th were a horrific trigger for this current war, the conflict itself has roots that go back much, much further. So let's just quickly walk through a few of those key moments that got us here. It really starts to take shape in 1917 with the Balfour Declaration. Then a huge moment in 1948, the event Palestinians called the Nakba, or the catastrophe, where over 750,000 people were expelled from their land. Then, 1967 marks the start of Israel's military occupation of Gaza. And finally, 2007, when a full land, air, and sea blockade was imposed on Gaza, controlling everything from goods to water to electricity for almost 2 decades now.
So it's because of this long, complicated history that the current crisis has sparked such a massive, passionate response all over the world, from people protesting on the streets to these really deep moral and religious calls for action.
And that response has been, well, it's been powerful, and it's been global. You've seen pro-Palestinian content just dominate social media. Many describe the global Muslim community, the Ummah, as roaring for Gaza. The activism is focused on real demands too, like arms embargoes and accountability for war crimes. And inside communities, there's this powerful message to turn that feeling of helplessness into positive action, inspired by what so many see as the unbelievable steadfastness of the people in Gaza.
And in the middle of all of this question from Dr. Omar Suleiman really seems to cut to the heart of the ethical challenge. How do you enjoy your food while you see the rib cages of people that you know are far better than you? It's such a direct question, right? It asks us to face that disconnect between our own daily comfort and the suffering we can see so clearly on our screens. And that really brings us to our final thought. Watching a famine unfold in real time on our phones forces a really difficult question on all of us. In a world this connected, where we can see the faces of starving children with just a click, where does our responsibility begin? There's no easy answer for sure, but it's a question that this crisis is demanding that we all ask ourselves.